Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
She's just amazing to change your life through many different modalities. And that could be hypnotherapy, energy work. And I just learned that she's into astrology before we even came on here. We're in a Mercury retrograde. I mentioned it. And she's like, oh, you know about that? I'm like, yeah, I do. She runs deep in all of these modalities. And Hania Wilkos is back with us. Welcome. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you. How are you?
Awesome. Yeah. And today,
retrogrades, and we're awesome.
you know, I just look at things that are positive, and I see and they are. There's positivity. There's going to be a couple of hiccups here and there, but it's all good. Shadow work is a term that I've heard often, but I'm not really sure what it means in the metaphysical world. And we're going to talk about that today. What does it mean?
Shadow could mean many things, but where I come from with my work, everything that we don't like about ourselves, anything that we want to suppress, we don't want to show to the outside world. Let's say makeup we put on. That's a shadow. We don't want to show our spots. We don't want to show our imperfections that we think we have. Really, we're perfect. Somebody said, God doesn't make mistakes, so we all perfect in our own perfection and imperfection as we think about. So the shadow work is all those emotions, those situations in our life that were not very pleasant, and we want to suppress them. We want to put them on a back burner. We want to put them somewhere that no one can see. Let's say you got drunk and you were obnoxiously drunk and you did stupid things. You said more stupid things. You just want to forget about it. It's a simple work is acknowledge I can't drink too much alcohol because I act like an idiot. I mean, you don't want to put yourself down, but you just acknowledge something about yourself. When you acknowledge something about yourself in front of yourself and even another person, you are empowered because this is the moment when you can change. You changed your mind. I'm not going to drink alcohol, or I'm not going to wear that dress or those pants or whatever that is. I'm not going to wear the red lipstick because it doesn't go with my complexion. Oh, I'm not going to, whatever it is, the experience that we think of ourselves external as a body, all the way to our feelings and experiences and trauma. We want to suppress the trauma because we don't want to be judged by an experience that we allowed somebody's going to think less of us.
I have a question here, and you're making a lot come clear. But when somebody looks in the mirror and sees, this thing, like just what you're saying, let me put on some concealer, whatever it might be. Is that coming from past traumas? What I mean by that is let's just say we never had any issues in the past, and we're talking about things that are in your subconscious that kind of pilot you. We've talked about that before, where your subconscious is 95% of what you're doing. 5% is conscious. If it was a perfect world and none of us suffered any traumas where, somebody said something as a kid and you internalized it, if that was not there, I mean, clean slate, nothing, everything's perfect, would we still look at ourselves and say, oh, yeah, I gotta lose weight, or, oh, look at this, and what are people going to think of me? I got that going on up there. Would it be like that?
No. In a perfect world, you would be like an infant child. Imagine a baby. Did you ever had a baby in front of you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Imagine a baby that just pooped. Do you see the baby cry? No. It doesn't even bother with the smell that it comes out of it. Baby's just happy because it gets attention. Mommy comes or daddy comes and cleans it up. Baby is not concerned about the fatty legs, the fatty arms.
Right.
Totally teethless. It doesn't close the mouth and wait until the teeth come. you live in a space of total allowance, of total acceptation. You don't see so-called society imperfections in other people. You see them as another creation, which is in a way connected to you. We're not one in a situation as we right now. We're connected, but we one when we come from the place where we come from. That's where I take you in a hypnosis, that pool of pure consciousness, that bliss. And then we're not separate. We are individuals. And we look at another person and ourselves as totally perfect. We don't see any of it. So, and everything we go through, every single one of us goes back into that place, the source where we came from, when we gave ourselves birth to experience. And that is your Akashic record. And the Akashic record, there's everything in it, because that consciousness, that pool of energy that we are that spark that we came out of, and we constantly connected to, it has no judgment. The pure self has no judgment. So we would never judge ourselves. We would just experience. In this body, our soul is experiencing and discovering itself, identifying itself through our nervous system. And our programs, which are in our brain, are the ones that we are running 95% of the time.
Wow. So with shadow work, how does that come into play with all of this?
Okay, so the shadow would be like a pendulum. Okay, I'm not going to hypnotize you.
Is it funny that people always think that?
Right. And I
TV.
pendulum because it's part of the either muscle testing. You can program. When I say I'm not going to move my hand, and I'm going to say, okay, do yes. Already reads my mind because it's connected to me. Say no. I'm not going to. It's going to start going no. Do it harder.
I never have luck with that.
You have to program. You have to program. You program pendulum by saying yes, and you do it physically yourself, and then stop and say no and do physically yourself. You program that on no and yes. And then when you ask a question, you can ask a question of your body, let's say, and you can ask a question, is alcohol healthy for me? No, I get alcohol poisoning, so I can't drink. That doesn't mean I didn't drink before. I did. It's not healthy for me. Is water, purified water, healthy for me, for my body? So my body answers. You can also do muscle testing on the arm, or you can do it on the fingers. That's a quick one. Yes, no, yes, no. Is my name Elizabeth? No. Is my name Hania? Yes, definitely. And I love my name. Do I love my name? Yes. So you can ask yourself those questions. It's good when you're hydrated also. It helps. Muscle testing. But talking about the shadow work and how it works. So look at the pendulum, goes from right to left, right? So let's just say, let's take the example of water. So people also so we all understand the energy, vibration, and frequency. But water is energy, right? And we have it as a water. And let's just think that that negative thing that we don't like, the something that we dislike, is frozen. It's the frozen water. And you want to change that frozen water to something that you're going to love. It's still the same energy. It's just going to have a different vibration. Okay. And the vibration is going to keep changing, and the frequency changes. And it goes back from here to there. And it becomes a mist. It's just like when it comes to neutral and it's water, it's not ice anymore. It's not something you are denying yourself. to come to the surface. You liquidate that. It's a liquid. And now you want to make this energy, and that's what I do in the hypnosis, but with the energy, with emotion. And then you want to raise that vibration, which means raise the frequency, and it goes the same distance as the ice water, but it's opposite, which means it becomes vapor. Vibration and frequency, because everything vibrates. Our emotions, our thoughts, our pictures, and the picture that we have in our head is going to create an emotion in our body. And if this is something we're ashamed of, then the emotion is going to be not pleasant. We might feel a knot in the stomach. We're just not going to feel comfortable. Our face might turn red. We might start sweating. It's going to be very uncomfortable for us. But then when we're going to neutralize that emotion, and we're going to say, it's just an experience. I just did a dumb thing. Everybody does. That's what experiencing is about. And you raise it, and they say, I can learn from it. Instead of being afraid of it, you bring it out in front of you. And you say, I can learn from it instead of suppressing. And it starts becoming like vapor.
Does that work in all instances?
If we are believing in it, yes, it does. I mean, we're doing that all the time. You see, we're just not aware of the laws of the universe that we know as we know it. All of us don't have that knowledge. And that's why we are not aware of the fact that we can actually, by changing our mind and bringing something to the surface, we can change our mind and say, I want to change it to something else. And so in the hypnosis, what I do is I bring that emotion out. I want the client to see it, to see that emotion, and to see what it created in their life or in their body, because it could create the sickness in their body also. That's part of the science of the mind. And when you look at that and you analyze and you see the cost that you had to pay to hold that shadow in you, you're going to say, oh, I'm just going to wash it. I'm going to wash it in neutral energy. And now I'm going to raise it up to love and acceptance. And that thing is not going to be hunting me anymore. That baggage behind me, that bag with all those things, that stuff that I don't want to show to the world, I'm just going to lose it. You can put your hands there, your energetic hands, because we're working on an energy level. You can put your hands on it, on all that, and you can heal it by accepting the fact that it happened. But you want to change. You make up your mind. You changed your mind, and you want to heal that, and you neutralizing it, raising the vibration, and it's yours. You can raise it to whatever you want. You can raise it to perfect health, to love. You can raise it to success, to anything you can think of. You come with the problem. So the opposite, the problem always has its opposite. So we can change it to the opposite, just like the pendulum. It always goes from, like gas in the stove gas.
Mm-hmm.
You can cook a dinner for your husband, or you can cook a husband.
What? Everything just stopped. Cook a husband?
Because you cook a husband. Let's say you don't like a husband. You can cook a husband. You can cook a dinner and make somebody happy, or you can murder somebody with the gas. There are gas chambers.
Oh, okay. So what you're saying is you have the choice.
Right. So you have a choice. It's just like we have so many words that we talk about, like I'm going to do this. Oh, I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. Why would you want to kill a bird?
Okay, so you're talking about the language that we're using. We need
And
to
language is important with what
acknowledge.
yes.
Yeah.
But also looking at everything as an energy, because our words have power. Because you have a
Yes.
word, you speak or you think, makes no difference. Although when you speak, you give it more power to it because there's a vibration of the voice. So you speak, you have an image of it, and then you support that with emotion. You're happy. I'm happy. I'm going to talk to Steve today. We're going to have a nice conversation. I am happy. But if I'm going to be, oh my God, I'm going to talk to Steve. What am I going to say? How is it going to go? Then we don't know how is it going to go. But no matter how it's going to go, I'm happy. It was supposed to go that way. And if there was an imperfection, we'll fix it next time.
With the language, this is the one I recently struggled with, and I try to get around it. I can't wait to talk to Hania. Well, why are you saying you can't?
Exactly.
Yeah, you know what you mean, but subconsciously you're throwing it out there. I can't talk to Hania.
It's just like you would say, I forgot. Then you're never going to remember. I didn't remember, and you will remember because I didn't remember to do that. But if you say I forgot, then water under the bridge. But so when you start being conscious about the words you speak and the thoughts you think, you're going to keep correcting yourself to a point that you're going to say, I'm tired of doing that. But and I went through it because I didn't have any other tools at that time, only buying books, going to lectures, learning all that and practicing on myself. I still practice things in hypnosis on myself. However, when you have that speedy process with going under hypnosis, seeing all that, the bag with the stuff, with the shadows, okay? When you see that undesirable bag and you can analyze in the privacy of your own soul and you change your mind, you become empowered. You're not going to give your power back to anybody anymore. You're going to find out how powerful you are. Beauty, everything is beautiful. What's the difference between the weed and the flower? People's opinion. It's still a flower.
Right.
So you look at yourself with the eyes of love, understanding, accepting. And then you're going to say, okay, so I am experiencing physicality in this game called life. And I think is a simulation. I don't think anything here is real. Because when you understand energy, vibration, and frequency, and you watch the movie Matrix, then you're going to say, it's all temporary and it's all a game.
Well, it is temporary. That has been my journey. That was that was the main lesson in my journey at this time. Everything is temporary.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
Not your soul. Your soul is eternal.
Right.
And when they say, yogis will say that you have to come to enlightenment, which means to know yourself. When you know yourself, where you came from, then you're going to be in front of that pool of pure energy.
Yeah.
When you dissolve yourself and you know more, Hania or Steve or whoever, which means there's no ego. Right now, we are encapsulated in the ego identity. But the enlightenment is when you know who you are, where you came from, and you know your own power, your own worth. And then you can go back there and dissolve, or you can just be observer of whatever it is in front of you. You can see those games played on different planets by different beings. And you either want to just stay being an observer or you want to participate. But you have more knowledge when you came from that one part of not knowing and knowing, and you can choose consciously. And when you choose consciously and you are aware, enlightened in a way, You will not allow interference from other energies, other beings, because they have the right to exist, but you have the right to say, no, you cannot connect with me. This is my space. They won't even approach you if you're conscious. They will not even approach you. When you're angry and you leave the house and you're very angry and you're mean to people, people are going to be mean back to you. It's just like people say, oh, there are toxic people all over me, just because you're toxic.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
Change your energy, change your vibration. And those people are going to be pushed away, just like in a grinder, like a coffee grinder or grinder. Sure. When it starts spinning fast, those big beans can't survive. They have to either melt or they're going to be thrown away. That's what happens with the so-called toxic people. They're not toxic. They're basically people that are trying and they don't understand. The knowledge is there now. So lack of knowledge in the age of information is pure ignorance.
But the toxic people that we refer to, if you're toxic, you brought them to you. They're in your world for a reason.
Like a magnet. There's something
like a magnet. And what you're saying is, in my experience and understanding, if you talked to me 3 years ago and somebody did something to me, I would be like, something bad. I would be freaking out. Like, now it's just like, okay, all right. I'm not going to let that get in here. I'm blocking your energy. You can make it right if you want. If you don't, then we're not friends, and that's it. That's fine. And then move on. And that's it. I was even driving here today and I look down for a second. I look up and there's an SUV almost blocking the road with flashers on and, a handout, somebody smoking. And I was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, why bother? It's, it's no problem. Let me just go around you. Maybe you're having a problem, whatever it might be. But it triggered me for a second, like it would for anybody else. Same thing when somebody cuts you off in traffic. You react to it. But I find when I'm more mindful of it, like we're talking about, you have the awareness that it's very short or doesn't even exist. The other person you don't let their energy get in and control you, right?
Correct. We all react. It's just for how long we're going to be reacting.
Exactly.
So, and also living in the past. Well, we can't live in the past, but we can live in the future. Future doesn't exist. However, we always have now. We had something that happened to us in the past. And let's say it was a divorce. And your husband was treating, or your wife was treating you badly. And you're going to dwell on it. You're going to go to another relationship and you're going to dwell on it and dwell on it. You're basically bringing that back into your fresh relationship. Okay. Which means it happened 20 years ago. But you still reminiscing about it. You still build that feeling inside of you, that anger, that dislike, the hate, or whatever that is. Every person reacts different. And that's living in the past, which means you're bringing the past experience, which was not desirable, into now. And now, knowing that we create our future by our thoughts, by our visualization, which means a thought, and then you see the picture. I'm going to say tulip, and you're going to know how it looks like, right? Or I'm going to say a lamp, and you're going to say, okay, many lamps, but yeah, I know what a lamp looks like. The thing is that when we have that awareness that we create, then why not live in the future? Because we live effect all the time. So the cause is what we think about now, and effect is going to be what's going to happen to us in the future.
And we're creating the future.
That's why I'm saying
by what we're thinking. Yes. Exactly. We're out of time. I could go on forever. This is it's so interesting. And it just so many different thoughts come up. And by the way, talking about the relationship, the divorce or whatever, you're allowing that person's energy to control you.
Yes.
As you marinate about it and you're angry about it, it's like, yeah, go away. Onto something better.
The person that has that can get on your emotions is in control of your emotions. It's in control of you.
Yeah,
the television
everything.
show could be in control of you just because it has an effect on your emotions.
How do we find you?
Wilkos Regressive Hypnosis. Or you can also find me on Facebook. You can Google me.
And your website again is what?
Wilkos Regressive Hypnosis, which is hwilkos.com.
hwilkos.com. Another way to find you, right?
Correct.
WILKOS.com. Great talking with you. And I love your analogies, the comparison between the mist, the water, because then it just comes clearer and makes it easier for us to understand all this stuff. I look forward next time we get a chance to talk.
Thank you. So do I.
Thank you. All right. We're coming right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.